police officer Michael Gerbasi, New York City police officer. I'm currently assigned to the Highway Patrol, Highway Unit 1 in the Bronx. I've been a police officer for 22 years now, and heading back to September 11th of 2001, I was assigned to the 1st Precinct. I was doing a day tour duty, which was my permanently assigned position. I was assigned a sector car with a partner. And my particular area within the 1st Precinct was Lower Manhattan, in the Soho area of Manhattan. So yeah, on that particular day, it was like any other day that me and my partner would go out and on patrol. We would just pretty much go to roll call in the morning, get our assignment, which was Sector Henry Ida for that day, and just routine day. Nothing was expected. It was a beautiful day out. It was Tuesday morning, election day. Sun was shining, blue skies, and did as we always do. Go out in the morning. First thing was get coffee and breakfast. Did that. We're sitting on a corner up on West Broadway and Spring Street around the time of the first initial impact of the first plane. We were just talking, general talks. Nothing was really going on the police radio. And all of a sudden we hear a loud explosion. And from where we were sitting, it was just a matter of looking up and looking outside the front window of the car. And we had a clear line of sight of the World Trade Center, the 2 towers. And once we heard that explosion, immediately after it, the radio transmissions started coming over, and that's when we looked up and saw the gaping hole in the North Tower. So we were north of the buildings looking south. So we saw pretty much where the plane had entered into the building. So from our viewpoint, it just looked like a black hole. Nothing more than that. It didn't look bad. It didn't. We didn't know how serious the other side of the building was, but we knew something hit the building. So I think our first thoughts were that it was a lot of people going to be hurt, but it didn't look like a jetliner had crashed into the building. So again, my partner was driving, I was in the passenger seat, and we responded down. And just, a lot of thoughts go through your head as you go, and you don't know what you're going to see. It's the first time. I only had 3 years on the job at the time. So, the amount of stuff that I had seen in that 3 years was, a decent amount. But again, the initial thing was, what am I going to see now? So a lot of thoughts go through your head en route, and you try to coordinate a plan with your partner while you're getting down there and fighting through the traffic, because now everybody is seeing what's going on. So it's just, the mad rush. We wound up making our way all the way south on West Broadway. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with the roadway. It's 2 ways up until a certain point on West Broadway South in the Soho area. And it turns into a one-way north, but we just continued going south. It would be the quickest way. It was safely done. We managed to get all the way down to Gerbasi Street in West Broadway. And, just as the closer you get, you start to see it's getting worse. You can see the reality of the incident. We parked the car, we put it on the corner of Church Street and Gerbasi Street. Both me and my partner get out. We grab some medical supplies, and we head inside the building. From that point on, I get inside the building, and I did run into one of my supervisors that was already inside, and he pretty much directed us to go back outside and just continue pulling people away from the area and just get them to disperse safely and coordinately up Church Street into a safe location and just get away from the area. So at that time, I did manage to see a few people that were injured and hurt, and grabbed them and escorted them out. Brought, whoever was injured would make sure they were getting medical attention from the ambulances that were already arriving at the scene. after I left the building, I'm starting to head back into it to hopefully grab some more people that are hurt and bring them to safety. I observed this gentleman in the middle of the street laughing on the phone. And for the life of me at the time, from what I can remember, I couldn't understand why this man was on the phone laughing. So after I'm trying to push him away or get him out of the area, get him to move up onto Church Street into to a safe area, I hear a second explosion coming out of the South Tower now. And when I looked up and I see this big fireball in the sky, I couldn't understand what it was. I figured it was something that happened in the first building and it just blew up and went over to the second building. So I look up and all of a sudden I started to see all of the debris that came from this explosion starting to rain and shower over us. So at that point, I turn around and I try to get myself into some safe area where I'm not going to get hit with anything. But unfortunately, as I was trying to do that, something struck me in my right shoulder, my right arm, and literally pulled my arm off, and it was just dangling, hanging off of my body. It wasn't completely detached, but blood was just pouring out of my right arm, and I just pretty much grabbed my arm with my left hand and continued to try to get to an area where I was safe. So I managed to get myself into the subway system, which was right next to the Church Street and Vesey Street. So from what I remember, I'm down there and I just feel like my whole side of my body is numb. So I managed to get myself outside to the top of the stairs, and it happened to be an ESU police officer at the top and my partner. And they saw me, they grabbed me, and immediately brought me to an ambulance. So from that point, I still had no idea what was happening, what was going on. All I can remember was laying in the ambulance, and then the next thing I remember was sometime later on that night inside the hospital. And apparently that was after my surgery that I underwent to reattach or reposition my arm. So basically what happened to my arm was it was struck by something that went through from the back side to the front side, completely shattered my humerus bone and severed some nerves, muscles, and all that stuff that's inside. So from that point at night, I still had no idea what happened. And my partner was there next to me. And that's when the reality set in, and he told me what happened. That's when I learned it was a terrorist attack. So now I go back to the gentleman that was in the middle of the street. And to this day, I don't even know if that man really existed or if it was somebody keeping me from going back into the building. Was it an angel? I don't know. Was it somebody looking out for me? But when I look back at it and say there was a gentleman in the middle of the street laughing, I mean, that's what I remember. If that was actually something that happened, I don't know. But something kept me from going back into that building. And the reason I say that is if I was in the building, I wouldn't have received the injury that I received. I might have been in the building when the buildings collapsed. But, it was a scary moment at the time. Again, I was 26 years old. Never seen something like this in my life. I don't wish anybody to see it. And it's just been a constant reminder day after day for almost 20 years now of what had happened to me that day. And there's images and sights that just are always in my head and always there. And apologize if I'm going all over the place with the story, but it's as I'm thinking it. So after I was out of the hospital, I spent about 2 weeks in the hospital. I underwent physical therapy for about 2 years. Finally got the use of my arm back. It was long, tough, and strenuous, but I was determined to stay and be back on the job. So about a year and a half after, I was at least put back to full duty. And to this day, I'm still on the job, and don't regret coming back, don't regret fighting and making myself 100%. Otherwise, other than my arm, health seems good. I mean, I go for the annual health screening. I do notice I do have sinus problems. I mean, whether it's linked or related to it, but I do go for the screenings once a year and physicals and stuff like that.
But that injury saved your life possibly twice. First, by not going back in the building, but second, because you were so injured, you didn't spend the time on the pile that so many other first responders did, and ended up getting sick with cancer and still dying till this day. Why?
That is correct. Yes. I mean,
Why do you think you were spared?
I wish I could answer that. I don't know. I mean, I thank God every day. I mean, part of me feels guilty on some occasions where, you see all these people that are suffering and dying, and, what I don't know. I don't know what spared me. I don't know if God was looking out for me. But like I said, I thank God every day for the opportunity to get out of there. And I know so many people didn't have that opportunity to do so.
I wonder about your family. At what point did they realize that you were alive?
Sometime, from what I was told later on that afternoon, they did get a visit at the house. My parents live in Suffolk County, and Suffolk County PD went to the house to escort them into the city, to the hospital from there.
I can only imagine their
But,
fear. I can only imagine their fear when the Suffolk County police show up at their door. They had to have thought the worst.
Absolutely. I mean, I know what I would feel if I had to open the door to to that.
So
But, like I said, it was
go ahead.
no, like I said, it was a tough fight, and I always had that will to get myself back up and get myself strong, and like I said, 20 years later, I'm still fighting it and still trying to be strong.
So every day you're reminded of what happened 20 years ago.
Every day. Absolutely, yep.
You were basically a kid when this happened. How did this change the way you view life?
Basically, I don't take any day for granted. I mean, it's, I don't leave my house without that thought of, am I coming home? It's you just got to think before you act, have that plan, and it's, me and my partner, like I said, went into it with the plan, but at that point, I didn't know what the worst could be. We didn't know really what we were getting into. And later on in my career, I happened to be working the same night the plane went down in the Henry Hudson. And believe it or not, I responded to that as well. And it's like, as I'm going to that, and that day I was in the highway patrol, and we worked solo. So I was responding to that by myself. And, so you don't have a partner to make the plan, but you say in your head, what am I doing? I'm getting into this again. But I responded to that just the same way I responded to the 9/11 terrorist attacks. But, after experiencing it once, you're able to think about your way out and how to keep yourself and others safe.
That was the Sully Sullenberger incident?
Yes.
a miracle happened there.
Yeah. Yes,
Is
it did. Yep.
Is there anything else you want to add?
That's pretty much it. I would imagine just the fact that I'm continuing to fight, and I can't believe it's been 20 years. It's amazing where time has gone, and it's as fresh as it was the day after it happened. It's something, and you know what? I have 3 kids now, and my 3 kids know everything that has happened that day. I make sure they understand the risks that I took to save other people's lives. And, unfortunately, I wasn't there long enough to save more lives, but they know that it was in good deed to do what I did, and I would do it again. But I teach them respect life, and just go on with life, is enjoy each and every day.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Stay well, stay safe, and enjoy your family.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for including me in this, and I appreciate it. It's remarkable that there's so many people out there that still support what happened that day, and support what we do for the better of the world.